is the oil industry really dominating electric car construction, or does that make no sense whatsoever?
Well, not having heard him make that statement in the context, I'm not sure how to refute it or provide an alternative view, but I will say the transportation sector is a very large contributor to our overall CO2 and greenhouse gas emissions. So the challenge with electric cars, of course, is if you're charging, and I have a hybrid, so I will charge my car at home, but I'm very aware of what I'm pulling through the grid and through my home to charge my car. So if we're charging fleets of electric cars, but we have to build more gas and oil and power plants, that's not necessarily solving the entire problem, although we are driving around in cars that aren't spewing emissions daily, and that does have value. But going back to this discussion about top-down centralized versus distributed, and it's my home is a hybrid. So I can choose, knowing what my utility rates are, also when the sun is shining. So I can plug my car in and charge it when it makes the most financial sense for me and when I know I'm pulling from the sun. And that is the proposition here. If we have a fleet of electric cars, we also need to be smart about how we're building in infrastructure very often at the customer site. If people have solar rooftop and they have batteries, so they can store that energy and deploy it at night during time of use or peak charges for businesses, but they also have an electric car or a fleet, then they can charge that car or their fleet pulling from batteries that are there on site. And that solves a huge piece of this question of emissions and reducing CO2. And so again, going back to your question and the statement by the gentleman, I would think he's talking about where you're actually generating the energy, what the source of that generation is, and how you're charging the electric fleet. And electric cars isn't the entire solution. You have to look at the all the way along the supply chain, value chain, and think about the technology at every point along the distribution.